Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. If you were looking for our show on Thursday and Friday, I hope you got to see the post where we were unable to do the show because of Tropical Storm ETA. Tropical Storm ETA literally passed over our studio area, and we didn't get any severe damage, lots of rain, quite a bit of wind, but we had some power outages and those types of things. And I also, the main reason, I just didn't want anybody to have to travel in that weather. And it was at its height right about the time we'd be getting ready to do the show. So I hope you understand, and we're glad to be back. Happy to be here. We got a great show for you today. Hope you had a great weekend. Of course, if you were in Washington, D.C. at all things Trump, man, you might have got the head beat in by Antifa, the mostly peaceful people. The only people that were peaceful apparently are Donald Trump supporters, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But Donald J. Trump, DJT, has come out now and said, I concede nothing. Of course, there was a tweet that he put out, a Twitter, whatever. And in it, he said if Biden won, it was because of the fake news and all of that kind of stuff. So they actually, the media people interpreted that. Let me shift over a little bit. I'm a little disjointed. There we go. The media people interpret that as Donald Trump concedes. So he came out and said he did not. So we'll update you on kind of where we stand with the Trump challenge to Biden's victory and all of that. And then we're going to talk about what happens. And as I put in my little title here, God help us if we have a post-President Trump. In other words, Joe Biden actually gets elected. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But before we go any further, I got to mention our sponsor, Big Daddy Unlimited. If you haven't checked out Big Daddy Unlimited, you need to do yourself a favor. We're live every day, Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time from the Big Daddy Unlimited Studio, BDU. We're also on America's Voice News in the morning, like on Facebook. Good morning, howdy, how are you? We YouTube, spell it all the way out, John Martin Talks. We're rebroadcast as a late night show on America's Voice News. I got free Android and iPhone apps. Download them now. Channel 219 Dish Network, streaming on pretty much every streaming channel. Apple TV, Fire Stick, Roku. We're also on Pluto Network on that. So check it out. You'll see that you couldn't be in better hands. Hang on a minute. Had a little blurb here, Passway. Dangers of live TV. There we go. But we're on a bunch of different stuff. But our sponsor, Big Daddy Unlimited, let me finish up with them very quickly. If you look at our video, no matter when or where you're watching it, you will see at the top, it's a show description. It will have a sponsorship link. Check it out. Click on it. And we probably need it now more than ever because Big Daddy Unlimited is all about the Second Amendment. So click on that. You'll get factory direct pricing delivered directly to your door on anything Second Amendment related, from guns and ammunition. Yeah, I said it. Guns and ammunition delivered directly to you. Also anything to do like swag and tactical gear, thousands of items. So let's get on with the show here. All right, we're going to start with a Washington Post article. I concede nothing, Trump says shortly after appearing to acknowledge Biden won the election. He did nothing of the sort. And let me tell you, just like that, right now, you Trump chumps or you Twitter twats or whatever you want to call people out there, name calling going everywhere. One thing we know for sure, that Donald Trump is still your president, snowflakes. You better get over it. At least until mid-January, Donald Trump is still your president. And I am hoping beyond, goes on beyond. Let me just state something clear here, because I've been getting people and I understand, believe me, nobody is more passionate about Donald Trump than I am. I mean, I love the man. Like I've told you many times, I got a man crush on him. If you've watched our show anytime, you'll know that. If you're new to the show, howdy, how are you? You're in the right place now, because the truth starts here. And I got to tell you the truth. Donald Trump, I am 100% for him challenging. We're going to get into the specifics in just a moment. But at the same time, I think we have to acknowledge that it might be possible, as hard as it is, that Donald Trump doesn't win this fight. It's possible. And we're going to talk about that. One thing about us, we're never going to be politically correct. So if you're looking for political correctness, you're in the wrong place. But if you're looking through of truth to the best of my ability and my skills at analyzing things, then you're in the right place. So hang in there with me. Just as a quick example, I still have my Donald Trump yard sign in my lawn right now. And I have a 4x8 Trump sign, Trump Pence sign, on a piece of my property on the main highway leading into my little town called Hawthorne, Florida. So if you're driving down Highway 20, going into Hawthorne, and you see a big 4x8 Trump sign up there, you'll know that that is yours truly. Put that up there, dug the holes myself and planted it in the ground. And I'm going to leave it up there until Donald Trump tells me basically to take it down. So you have no worries about me supporting the president, but we got to talk about the realities of the situation. Back to the article. President Trump on Sunday doubled down on his refusal to concede the election to President-elect Joe Biden. First of all, he's not president-elect. He is not. That is for fact. Has Joe Biden gotten the most votes? It looks like it. Is he going to win overall? There's a pretty fair chance he will. It's just a reality. But he is not president-elect until the ballots are certified. The results, the election is certified. So, keep that in mind. But it says that the election of President-elect Joe Biden, even after suffering resounding court defeats, talking about the president, over the election challenges and amid a growing popular vote margin for the Democrats. Well, first of all, I guess they're still finding Joe Biden ballots. They're just still trickling in. They're coming from everywhere. That actually may be a good sign that they're trying to find enough votes because Donald Trump may be exposing some fraud. Now, keep in mind that the Trump legal team has told you that this is the week right now that we're starting right now where they're going to reveal start to reveal all the challenges. They told us there was going to be a lull in the action, so we have to wait and see. And that's hard to do, but we got to wait and see. Now, let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, and this is my opinion, but it's an opinionated fact nonetheless. The only way for President Trump to actually win this election, now I think he won it, don't misunderstand me, but I'm saying to become the next president, to actually be up there and getting inaugurated president, it's going to take, recounts aren't going to do it. They're going to have to do audits of the ballots, period. And we're going to have a major Supreme Court decision somewhere down the line. Down the line, that's going to have to happen. It's not going to happen in the state courts, the local courts, all that, any courts below the Supreme Court. It's just not going to happen, I don't think. And I'm not surprised that in a lot of these state courts, the challenges that the Trump team has put forward have been knocked down. Don't get disheartened by that. It is expected. As I say, ultimately, this thing is going to have, for Donald Trump to prevail, it's going to take, at the very least, a major Supreme Court decision. We don't know if they're going to take a case or not, totally. They haven't totally done that yet. There's signs that they are. They've been made inquiries. But they're going to have to rule in Donald Trump's favor, and we're going to have an audit of the ballots. It's not enough just to recount. It may be in Georgia enough to help, like Purdue, get over the 50% plus one vote so he doesn't have to go in a runoff. That might happen because there's such a slim amount of votes there. But for Donald Trump to win, it's going to be tougher. Keep in mind this, though. I heard this on the way in. I just want to give you a tidbit of information. I was listening to satellite radio on one of the Breitbart shows. I give them a lot of credit. I listen especially to the callers. I enjoy hearing what you guys have to say. And we're going to try to do some version of call-in here in the not-too-distant future. It might not actually be call-in. It'll probably be, communicating via Facebook or what other platforms we're going to be on. And oh, by the way, we're going to expand this show in the coming days to multiple platforms. If you have one you'd like to see us on, please chime in on Facebook or our YouTube channel, spell it all the way out, John Martin Talks, and give us suggestions as to what you'd like to see us on, and we'll get that going. But, in Georgia, this is what I want to tell you. In Georgia, keep this in mind. Stacey Abrams, who's like the queen of Georgia, I suppose, she has been claiming for 2 years now that she won the election in Georgia, right? That she is actually the real governor of Georgia. That's one thing about Democrats. They act as if no matter what. But did you know that the amount of votes that separated her from actually winning, that she's fraudulent, is much greater than the amount of votes that separate Joe Biden and Donald Trump from being victorious in Georgia? So, the left, man, I just don't want to hear it, but we're going to hear it off and on and on and on. But they're still finding Biden ballots. Imagine that. Trump said of Biden in a morning tweet, I guess this was on Sunday, he said, he only won in the eyes of the fake news media. I concede nothing in big capital letters. We have a long way to go. This race was a rigged election. No doubt about it. No, they talk about no evidence. I want to show you a meme that I posted up over the weekend. Now, I thought this was very funny, and I still think it's funny. I voted on the tombstone. Now, I've got a personal Facebook site. Some of you are friends of mine on there, and you're welcome to send me a friend request. It's different than the John Martin Talks. And on it, I don't talk a lot about politics. Very, very rare. I talk about stuff like, typical Facebook stuff. Friends of mine from high school, that kind of thing. Sports, I'm a big Gators fan. Fishing, of course. I got to go this weekend. It was a great trip. Maybe I'll show you some pictures tomorrow or something. But it was a fantastic trip. But my personal Facebook page, I specifically exclude political stuff because I've got plenty of it on my John Martin Talks. But I posted this one up literally as a joke. I didn't make a comment about it, Democrat or whatever. And the Democrat friends of mine, which I got quite a few, some of the progressives, I live in a very progressive area, they started bashing about that, and I had to remind them that, of course, people were challenging on the other side. And I had to remind them, hey, guys, it's a joke. Get over yourself. That's one thing that has really died during the Trump administration. And it's not his fault because Donald Trump is a very humorous guy. He loves to laugh. He's a happy, joyous guy. But the left has destroyed comedy during the last 4 years. You can't be funny anymore because you're afraid you're going to offend somebody. Well, if you're worried about offending somebody, you probably ought to tune the channel now. But, I would recommend you keep going. Have the courage to keep watching. But I love how they say there's no evidence. There's a ton of evidence. Everybody knows that dead people have been voting everywhere, and there's more than that. And hopefully the Trump team is going to produce a large swath of. You don't have to prove anything to the media, by the way. You don't have to present evidence. And I've been saying this for the last week or so now. Circumstantial evidence is the starting point, let's put it that way, of pretty much every investigation there is, criminal or civil. Circumstantial evidence starts it. You very rarely have a situation where you take one look at it and go, yep, I know who did it, they're guilty, and, boom, boom, boom. That's not how our system works. Circumstantial evidence actually starts an investigation, and an investigation then goes and tries to prove what actually happened and who's guilty. So we're actually in that phase of this investigation, according to President Trump's lawyers. The president's declaration, back to the article, the president's declaration comes as he and his administration continue to impede the transition of President-elect, I guess, Mr. Biden. Does he know he's president-elect? He's not actually, and he thinks he is. But I like how they say impede the transition. What a dadgum joke. You want to hear a joke is accusing Donald Trump and his administration of impeding anything. Not that they wouldn't be justified. First of all, the election's not over. They're doing their legal challenges. It has not been certified, so we all know that. Even Democrats actually know that. But think about this. You heard this little term called the Logan Act. The Logan Act has never really been used on anybody. And it, by the way, was what Joe Biden, we now know, when he was in the Oval Office as vice president with Mr. Obama there and multiple others talked about using the Logan Act against General Flynn and Trump supporters, potential cabinet members and everything. It was Joe Biden that brought up the Logan Act. Now, basically what the Logan Act says is that you're not allowed to negotiate or talk to basically foreign entities, foreign government officials and all of that stuff until you're actually in the office. In other words, being elect or whatever, you can't do that. Now, I don't believe in the Logan Act. I think it's nonsense on its face, and it's never really been used. But I say it because Biden brought it up. And I say this, if you've watched what Joe Biden has been saying and what's been coming out of his camp for the last week or so, they've basically been gloating and admitting that they're violating the Logan Act on a daily basis. Joe Biden and his handlers have come out and said in no uncertain terms that they've been talking to leaders of foreign governments. Now, I'm telling you, I actually don't have a problem with that, but the standard, this idea of a double standard, as I've told you, if you're new to the show, you might not have heard this, but if I say it, it bears repeating. There is no double standard. That's what we need to understand. There's no double standard. We saw that again over the weekend. There's no double standard. There's only one standard, and Trump and conservatives and Trump supporters are held to that standard. But the left, tell me what standard they're held to. We saw an old man, I didn't get the video up, but we'll probably play it, put it on our Facebook site. An old man was literally been kicked in the head by multiple Biden supporters, Black Lives Matter and Antifa, you know, the people that have your best interests at heart, kicking an old man while he's down on the ground simply because he's a Trump supporter. And there's multiple examples of this just over the weekend, let alone in the past. But are they going to be held to any standard? You know, mostly peaceful, that kind of thing. The Trump supporters, as far as I could tell, were not mostly peaceful. They were totally peaceful until they actually got attacked. So there is no double standard. There's one standard that conservatives, Trump supporters, MAGA hat wearing sons of guns like you guys out there are held to. The rest, the left, what standard? I challenge you. Show me a standard that they're actually held to. The only standard I know is anything goes. But in the transition, man, what a joke that is. And I want to play this video right now. This will show you just how much of a joke and this not really laughing matter. This is Comey, former FBI director Comey, actually admitting that he went in after Flynn just because he could get away with it, to try to take advantage of the new Trump administration. Let's hear him in his own words. Check it out.
White House now, and it's hard to imagine two FBI agents ending up in the sit room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration. The FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official. You would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals, and who would be there. And I thought, it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over.
Isn't that a crying shame? You hear the people laughing at that. I don't know if that's canned laughter or what. But Comey said, they're new, let's just try it. This was the director of the FBI, who's supposed to be nonpartisan. Now, the FBI as a whole probably is nonpartisan. But we've seen now that the top of the FBI, probably even to this day, is extremely corrupt. Certainly was under Comey. If you haven't seen it, and maybe we'll put this up as well, this all happened kind of Friday, and I was a bit busy and dealing with storm issues and stuff like that. But did you see Ted Cruz examining McCabe in that Senate hearing? If you hadn't, you need to check it out. I'll try to put it up on my Facebook site. But basically, he got McCabe kind of crossed up there. He wouldn't admit that the Logan Act was being violated literally on a daily basis. Do you think the FBI director right now, or any FBI agents, are actually infiltrating and try to take advantage of Joe Biden right now? They might come, by the way. if Joe Biden, God help us, becomes president, because I think the Democrats are going to try to remove that guy. And this is another tidbit of information I heard today, and I'll give it credit where credit is due. I was listening to a Breitbart show. They do a really good job. I give them some credit. And I was listening on satellite radio this morning, and it came out. I don't have the name of it off the top of my head, but there's a poll that went out, and I hope these numbers are best I can remember. There's a poll out now that shows that 31% of Democrats, 31%, said they knew nothing of the Hunter Biden issues. The old Hunter Biden, Biden admitting that he got the prosecutor fired, the whole Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, their whole thing is for sale, the Biden crime family, basically, that 31% of Democrats claim they knew nothing about it. That may or may not be true. But the most damning thing, or the troubling thing, is, and this is where elections can be rigged even without actually manipulating ballots. 31% said they knew nothing about it. And of those 31%, almost 5%, like 4.8%, said that had they known, it would have changed the way they voted. Voted for Donald Trump, most likely, or not voted at all. Now, you take the total number of votes, and I know a lot of them were in California, but the total number of votes that Joe Biden supposedly received, the most in the history of the country, if you believe that, better presidential candidate by far than Barack Obama, the greatest campaign in history by the numbers, right? Joe Biden. I mean, that enough is evidence right there. But think about it. Do the math on that. 4.8% of that 31% that voted for Joe Biden said they would have voted differently. Do you have any doubt who would be right now? We'd be talking about president-elect Donald Trump. If 4.8% of the people that voted for Biden had voted the other way, it'd be clear, right? So don't tell me that there wasn't tampering in that sense, because the media intentionally never asked Joe Biden one question. It only came up when Donald Trump mentioned it at the debates and that type of thing. So there is all kind of ways to manipulate the election, and we might not be able to overcome that. There's certain things that we might just not be able to come up. As with other accusations, Trump did not, this is back to the article, did not provide any evidence, plenty of evidence. And Twitter quickly flagged a tweet noting that his claim of election fraud is disputed. So what if it's disputed? So you can't have an opinion anymore. So Twitter, Jack Dorsey, those guys, they are now the arbiters of truth. They are what we look to for our standard bearers of truth. Really? I mean, come on, man. And as I say, we're about to expand our reach. But let me also say this, because I hear a lot of people talking about, Parler, and I signed up for an account. It's not really up and running yet. It will soon be. And I know there's like we, I don't know if it's we or whatever. There's all kind of stuff. But let me just say this, and I am not a fan of the way social media, Twitter, Google, Facebook, all of that has been operating. Have they been suppressing our conservative views? I don't think there's any doubt about that. All due reference to Mr. Algorithm. I always got to say that because algorithm. But I don't think there's any doubt that our numbers have been suppressed here right now on Facebook, because we'll see that all the time. We'll see viewers and they go down, and anyway, you know it. You've seen it yourself. But here's the thing I want to warn us against. I'm all for exploring alternative media. As a matter of fact, I teased you a little bit about this on Wednesday of last week. We here with the John Martin Show and Big Daddy Unlimited, which is all things Second Amendment. Check out our sponsorship link at the top of the show, no matter where you're watching it, above the video. Check it out. We are going to be bringing you some alternatives to social media. There's no doubt. And we're determined, certainly Big Daddy Unlimited is determined, and I'm playing a part in that, to be your go-to place for Second Amendment. Not just making purchases, but we're going to expand to the fact to defend your God-given inalienable rights. We're going to become the defender of that. We already are in certain areas. So just stay tuned to that. But here's the thing too. I honestly believe that, yes, we need to look at alternative things, because Fox News, my God, you can't trust them anymore. You can't trust them at all. But we can't afford to totally abandon Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, those kind of things. We can't do it because we can't just abandon what billions literally of people are looking, and certainly tens of millions in the United States are looking at. We have to get our mess. We can't become just an echo chamber, I guess is what I'm saying. So I believe that we need to fight on every front possible. And I commend to you, I pledge to you that here at John Martin Talks and Big Daddy Unlimited, we're going to try our best to fight everywhere. Everywhere. And we need your help to do that. So hang in there with us. Tell us where you want us to be. We'll try to get there. But spread this word far and wide. And support those of us in the fight. That's the thing you got to understand. Not everyone is my psychic sidekick here, Billy Bob Bass. He keeps me straight here on the show. He has a Twitter handle, by the way. It's at Billy Bob Bass 1, and mine is at John Martin Talks. But like he's always telling me, not everybody can be a fighter, but everybody can support those of us in the fight. And so not just me, but whatever your favorite stuff is, you got to share it. You got to support it financially, all those kind of things. Because if not, we're not going to win this battle for the soul of America, which is really what this is all about. This movement, the MAGA movement, the America First movement, the Take Back America movement, all of that combined, any way you want to look at it, the Tea Party, for God's sakes, when it started, Trumpism, whatever you want to label it, the multiple facets of it, we're not monolithic. But it's going to have to be bigger than just Donald Trump. And he said that himself many, many times. If we give up now, then as Josie Wales said in the Outlaw Josie Wales, old Clint Eastwood says, if you give up, you neither win nor lose. You just die. And then we're going to die on the vine if we don't stay in the fight. I'm going to stay in the fight. How about you? That's what we got to do. And Donald Trump's going to keep fighting no matter what. And we'll talk about more of that in a minute. But we're going to expand our reach. In remarks in Wilmington, Delaware last week, Biden weighed in on Trump's refusal to concede the race, denouncing the president's actions and suggesting that Americans are ready to unite. I'm probably going to go on a little rant here, a little rant warning. Cover your ears because I'm not a big cusser. But let me just tell you right here. He says, America are ready to unite. Bullshit. I'm just going to tell you right now, that is baloney. The malarkey. There's more malarkey coming out of the malarkey tour. Remember, that's what Biden originally called it. I don't see that at all, Joe. I wish you were right in a sense that we had something to unite by. The reason why we can't unite has nothing to do with Donald Trump, has nothing to do with Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. In my humble opinion, but opinionated fact, the reason why we can't unite is because we got nothing to unite to. We used to have the Constitution. The Constitution was our unification document. That the people, we could agree or disagree on which road to pave or bridge to build and all that stuff. But we used to agree. Now the Constitution's basically on fire. Because we used to agree on some fundamental principles. We used to agree in freedom of speech, in freedom of public assembly, and right to have your grievances taken up by the government. That's the basic of the First Amendment. We used to agree on that freedom of religion. Now they won't even let you meet if they have their way, right? In religious terms, they won't. Rioting's fine. Religious service, not so much. The Constitution. The reason why we can't unite, Joe, really has nothing to do with you or Donald Trump. It's the truth. We can't unite because about half the country either doesn't know, they're ignorant and apathy about the U.S. Constitution, and the other half of us are staunchly trying to defend it. But how you unite when there is nothing to unite behind? The Second Amendment. We used to, basically, you didn't have to keep and bear arms, but you had the right to, and it should not be infringed. What part of that do you not get? And I could go on and on. Matter of fact, I would love to interview Joe Biden, although I doubt he could take it. I'd be easy. One of the things I'd like to ask him is please look at the first 10 amendments, otherwise known as the Bill of Dadgum Rights, and tell me which ones you still agree with. or don't agree with? Because I can tell you, I don't know if Joe Biden could even answer it, but the Democrats, and I'm talking about the progressive, hardcore Democrats that in spite of moderate Joe Biden, which is nonsense to start with, they're running your party, Democrats. And I know a lot of Democrats voted for Trump. There's no question about that. So I'm not talking about all registered Democrats. I'm talking about those that are in leadership of your party. There are no moderates. Your party has been taken over by the hardcore left, and they do not believe in the Constitution. They have come out and said it as much in their actions and their words. And just this weekend, the armed wing of the Democratic Party, Antifa, and the mainstream philosophy of it that all of them have backed, Black Lives Matter, which is a communist organization, showed that you don't have a right to peacefully assemble anymore. You get bashed your head in. Okay. I had a friend of mine and he probably ain't much of a friend of mine anymore, just give me a fit over the last couple of days on and you know who you are if you're watching. He said he watched my show on Wednesday, and I'll challenge you to watch it yourself, and said it was nothing but hate-filled and evil and everything else. I challenge you to tell me where it is hate-filled, because I'm just telling the truth. Half the country, at least the Democratic Party, they don't believe in the U.S. Constitution. Show me where I'm wrong. I just don't see it. Biden said of Trump's insistence that he won the race, Biden added that Trump's actions, Biden said of Trump's insistence that he won the race, this is what he said: well, I just think it's an embarrassment, quite frankly, will not help the president's legacy. This is Biden worried about the president's legacy. The president's legacy, Joe, let me tell you, is growing by the minute. And I'm going to tell you right now, I make a prediction. If, God help us, Joe Biden becomes the next president of the United States, his highest point will be right before he gives his inauguration speech. Because after that, it's all downhill. I don't even think he can even give an inauguration speech. Can you imagine him? Well, I guess hopefully we won't have to worry about that, but we may be in that. But the president, Donald Trump's legacy is going to grow is growing and will continue to grow by the minute. See, the thing about Donald Trump, now he has earned the absolute right, ladies and gentlemen, no matter what, if he wins the presidency in 4 more years and then's out, or he's out now, he has earned the right to do pretty much anything he wants to do. He could easily ride off into the sunset, spend all his time with his kids and his grandchildren, traveling the world, just living the good life. Donald Trump, and I'm sure he'll do some of that. He could play 1 million dadgum rounds of golf. I don't care. Donald Trump can just ride off into the sunset and live happily ever after. I am not the least bit worried about the man, Donald Trump, or his family. They have done well, they're doing well, and they're going to continue well. So he could do that. He has every right to do it. I don't predict for a second, for a moment, that he will. Donald Trump is in this fight, I believe, for the long haul. Whether he wins this challenge, which is an uphill battle, there's no question about it. I don't know. If anybody can win this challenge, it would certainly be him. But Donald Trump's legacy hadn't even got started yet, man. He might have run again no matter what if he doesn't. But there's all this talk about a media empire. Donald Trump is going to overshadow, even if he don't even say anything based on what Biden probably will say or do, he's going to overshadow the Biden presidency for a long time. Let's take back the House in 2018 and impeach Biden should he win immediately. That's what he deserves, right? I've been pledging this for a while, and I'm going to say it again. I will give, because people say, well, you should give Biden a chance. Yeah, okay. I will. I promise you I will. I will give him the same chance that all of you snowflakes out there gave Donald Trump. I will pledge to you that I will give at least as much respect, probably more, that y'all gave Donald Trump for the last 4 years. I pledge to that. You got my solemn word on that. Trump and his allies filed lawsuits in 5 key states, but rather than revealing fraud, the effort by Trump's legal team has done the opposite. Oh, really? He has affirmed the integrity of the election. That's a stretch. Nearly every GOP challenge has been tossed out, and not a single vote has been overturned. That's probably right. As I said to you earlier in the show, It's going to take a major case in the Supreme Court to do this, and the ballots by recounts, all that, really not going to change much. They're going to have to be some type of audit on all of this stuff. And let's just face it. What is that old about the toothpaste? It's going to be really hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube. It just is. I would put Donald Trump's chances right now, and I know some people are going to hate me for saying this, but his chances are about 10%. Now, that doesn't, for Donald Trump, that could mean he wins. Because if anybody could do it, he could. But I've been saying this, and I'm going to keep saying it. And I know I've been taking some hits on Facebook. And so one thing about it, the trolls are all gone for the most part. I guess their paychecks quit coming in from George Soros and his bunch. Because I was getting trolled a lot right up to the election. Not so much anymore. But they never put anything out that was true. Anyway, I've been saying this, and I know some of you who are diehard like me, trust me, I'm with you with Donald Trump. But we needed to fight this battle for the election back in the spring. And not just President Trump, the Republican Party, the state legislatures, everything, the courts, the whole thing. We needed a Supreme Court case back in the spring. Now, whether it would have made a difference, I don't know. But we had to stop this cheat by mail, and yeah, I'm saying it, the cheat by mail, this blanket mail-out ballots. If nothing else comes out of this with Donald Trump, what we got to do is go back to only absentee balloting. You have to request a ballot, period. You're not responsible enough to request a ballot, I'm sorry, you shouldn't get one. Because, I think France, for instance, maybe I'll do a story on this. I think it was in the 70s that France tried all mail-in balloting. And even France, as liberal as they are, canned it, put it in the waste can because it was fraudulent. It's by its very nature fraudulent. So absentee balloting, we got to go back to that. I'm not a big fan of early voting because it costs so much more for elections. But in-person early voting is here to stay, no question about it. So, and I even voted early myself, in person. But it's here to stay. And we need to have voter identification on all of that, from absentee balloting, early voting, which we did in Florida, by the way, and day of voting, which is why we did such a good job here. We were the mockery, a couple of decades ago. Now we're like the model for what the Republican Party and the nation should be doing. So let me just sum it up really again. Absentee voting, early voting in person, and vote on the day of the election. That's what we got to get back to in every single state, no matter what happens with Donald Trump and his challenge. If we don't, we can expect the Democrats to cheat no matter what. Think about this. I was thinking about this over the weekend. The Democrats have accused the Republicans of everything except voter fraud. Have you noticed that? They don't accuse them of voter fraud. They accuse them of, oppression and voter suppression and everything else, all of that kind of stuff. But they never accused the Democrats. The Democrats never accused the Republicans of cheating. Really. They don't. Think about it. They don't accuse them of having, are there any jokes about dead Republicans voting? Really? If so, John McCain would have come out and voted, right? There's no evidence of it. They don't even accuse that. If anything, they accuse the one thing Republicans insist upon that would eliminate fraud, or at least go a long way to it, is voter ID. So the Democrats are all for voter fraud. They don't accuse the Republicans of voter fraud. They accuse them of voter suppression, which is, ridiculous. But we needed to fight more then. We got to fight now for the future. That's the one thing we got to do as well. This is what Donald Trump is doing, I believe, and he needs to continue to do. He needs to do what he's been doing since he became president, and even before that, expose the rot in this country. Because our election system is rotten. It's rotten. It just is. And anybody, even if you don't like Donald Trump, and God help us, you voted for Joe Biden legitimately, whatever, you got to admit that our system, if you're honest, is full of rot. And Donald Trump is exposing all of that. And we need him to keep doing it. And as I say, the only way we're going to overturn any of this is a Supreme Court big decision and auditing of the votes. We'll see what happens. Some Republicans also urge their party and the president to acknowledge Biden's victory. It doesn't take but one, right? Then it's all. But here's one they use, and it's a pretty prominent guy. In an appearance on NBC's News, Meet the Press, Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson said He expects Biden will be the next president of the United States and that Trump should allow the transition to proceed smoothly. Hutchinson said, it's important that we accept the outcome of the election. I would agree with that, but we're not going to accept it until we have an investigation. Trump people will accept the outcome of the election if they think it's true. If not, I don't think they will. He noted that Trump probably does not want to concede while some of his legal challenges remain unresolved. And he shouldn't. That's our system. But he added, we need to come together as a nation. Asa, with all due respect, as they say, like bless your heart, sir, like my grandmother would say. Based on what? I keep hearing this unity. Based on what? It's not based on the Constitution. That's the unifying document. The Democrats don't believe in it anymore. Are we supposed to base our unity on something like this video? That's good enough. I think you got the picture. What do we want, in case you didn't hear it clearly? Dead cops. When do we want them? Now. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Black Lives Matter movement last year, I think, going through the streets of New York. What do we want? Dead cops. When do we want them? Now. Are we supposed to unify behind that, Asa? Is that really what we're supposed to unify? And you may say, oh, that's extreme. No, it's not extreme. Yeah, what they're saying is extreme, but it's not extreme because that is the Democratic Party. That's who's up putting all this up, man. I mean, can we at least admit one thing? If you want to start unifying, can we at least admit that the stores weren't boarded up because of Trump supporters, that they were boarded up because they're afraid of Biden supporters? I mean, can we at least admit that? If you want your freedom, by the way, if you believe you should be able to, that it is a God-given right, it is a basic human right to defend your property, to defend your home, to defend your person, to defend your business against people like that. If you actually believe that still, you can come to Florida. Don't bring any crazy politics you're running from with you, but come to Florida, because under Ron DeSantis, our great governor and a big Trump supporter, by the way, we are becoming that state. We're the gunshine state, and I'm dadgum proud of it. Don't come down. This is where I guess my friend was bashing me about it. And I'm just telling you right now, if you have an expectation that you can break in my home, threaten my family, steal my stuff, and walk away scot-free, don't come to Florida. If you think you can block up the streets when I'm trying and threaten my family when I'm in my vehicle just traveling down the street, don't come to Florida. If you think you have a right, more right to enter my business than I have a right to keep it open, that you can enter it with a brick instead of waiting until I put the open sign out there, that you can bum rush my place, steal my stuff, destroy the dream that I've had and my entire family may have had for generations overnight. If you think that's cool, don't come to Florida. Because I'm telling you now, a lot of us here aren't going to take it. Because to quote my good buddy, I'd love to meet him, Brady Judd, the sheriff of Polk County, Florida, he said his residents have guns, they love their guns, they know how to use their guns, and I recommend that if you bash in their door, they blow you out the same door you tried to come in. I love some Grady Judd. And if that is advocating violence, which I don't believe I am, then put me in. I'm all in. I'm all in. We here at John Martin Talks, I think I can say this easily. Big Daddy Unlimited, our sponsor, check them out at above the video wherever you're watching. We're all in when it comes to you're right, because I firmly believe that you have a basic human right, not just granted by the Constitution, but as a human being wherever you live in the world, let alone the United States, that you have a right to defend your person and your family and your home and I would say your business. If you don't have that right, then we might as well just hang it up, because not only is the great experiment of the United States of America over, which As long as I got a voice, it won't be. But as long as it's over, then humanity itself is over. Because only if we become the law of the jungle, and only those that are, well, you know what that means. Oh, you know the deal, like Biden says. Anyway, I get on a rant because let me finish up by saying, come to Florida if you want your freedom. Back Governor Ron DeSantis, who may be a president one day. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But don't come here and bring your politics, or don't come with the expectation that you're going to trample on my God-given rights, because you might have a problem. If that's violent, then so be it. I want to live in peace, man. I just want to go fishing and live in peace, but I can't be silent because of all the things I want to do, all the things that I believe in, all the things that make my life a privilege to be a part of. I got to stand up and fight for them. I can't it'd be easy for me to just go home and live a good life. I'll be 60 in a couple of weeks. I have a great life. I have a great family. But I got that because of the sacrifices of other people. And I realize that. And I've said this, I haven't talked about this in a while, but I've been clean and sober now. I just want to say this, for like 32 years. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a law enforcement. I just know what's right for me. I've lived a pretty crazy life in the past. Done a lot of things I wasn't proud of. Still aren't proud of. But they remind me of where I was, where I'm at, and where I'm going. I have a tremendous debt to pay. But I don't feel burdened by that debt. I have a tremendous debt to pay this country and the people and my family and everything else. I don't feel burdened by that because the God of my understanding allows me to make daily payments on that. I don't know that I'll ever pay it off. One of the reasons I do the show is to pay off that debt. I don't talk about it that much, but I feel compelled to say this. So if you're expecting me to stop my payments, it ain't happening. Just say. All right, let me check the time. We're just about out of time. I'm not going to get into the second article. Maybe we'll talk about that. But let me just end the show this way one more time. I want to unify. I want a unified country. But I don't see anything to unify in with what the Democrats are offering. Because they're offering something that is the polar opposite of what I believe is the basis of this nation. And as long as that's happening, count on me to be in the fight. And I hope I can count on you. Hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please go directly to John Martin Talks Facebook page. Like it, share it with others. Remember our sponsor, Big Daddy Unlimited. We got a lot of stuff in the works. I'll pray for your family. You pray for mine. Let's pray for this great nation and our current president, our only president, Donald J. Trump, because both of them deserve it and have earned that right. But above all else, like I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.